Hey everybody, long time no talk. I thought I would do a vinyl unboxing, unwrapping today from a few different sources. It would be the Toronto Expo. I picked up 4 albums. Revolver Records in New York. I got to hit up one of their stores and got 4 or 5 records, can't even remember. It's been almost a month. And then a Father's Day present. So let's get into it. So this is primarily going to be a Revolver Records review because I hadn't been to any of their stores before, but there was a couple things I really wanted online, and we were heading to New York to see the Avett Brothers in concert. Oh, my hair's a disaster. So I ordered a couple things and asked them if they could hold on to them for a few weeks until I could pick them up. They were cool with that, so I did. But first, at the Toronto Sports Card Expo, I always stop at this one guy's table because he always has records with him, and I always try and spend some money with him because he's a super nice guy, and he usually gives me some good deals. So it's been a couple months since I bought these, so let's see what I got because I don't quite remember. Should be fun. First up, some hair metal. White Lion, Big Game. Mike Tramp as the singer, great voice. So I actually listened to this right when I got home to see if I recognized any of the hits off of it. And it wasn't super familiar. There's a cover on here of Radar Love that's pretty good. It's kind of a bit of a weird album because I feel like first of all, the singer's amazing. Band's good. Lead guitar player's amazing, but I don't think the lead guitar player and the singer really communicated very much because the guitar player seemed to be going about 3 times as fast as the rest of the band. I don't know. It's a weirdly disjointed album, but it's kind of it's a little heavier, a little more politically conscious than say like a Poison or a Warrant. The lyrics kind of delve into some issues from the time or whatever, so I don't know, it's kind of a different feel to it. But they were huge for a few years, so anyways, I thought I always grab hair metal when I can because I love the hair metal. Next up, yes, the Black Keys. This is their newest one. I think it's the newest one. I think it's 2022. They started out as 2 guys, still primarily 2 guys, but they've fleshed out the sound with some other instruments, and that's pretty good stuff. I'm not a huge blues guy. On the back there. I'm not a huge blues guy, but if I'm gonna listen to blues, I like a hard driving beat like this stuff. Great vocals on these. It's a really upbeat album too. There's a couple. It's almost like they're trying to. It's what they would have written in high school, kind of. There's the vibe, and there's a couple songs about high school on there. Anyways, I've only listened to it a couple times. It sounds great. This one. So this is kind of funny. First of all, Randy Travis rules. Love Randy Travis. My dad would be super happy that I bought this. So it's kind of funny because the selling point up in the corner is that it's sealed. But I'm going to open it and listen to it, so it doesn't really matter that it's sealed. And he probably sold millions of this album. So it doesn't really matter that it's sealed because it's not ever going to be worth much. It's super light too. It feels like a 7-inch or something, but anyways, this will be great. Love Randy Travis, and it should sound great on vinyl too because he tends to be super bassy, and even the music once in a while gets a little bassy. So last but not least, okay, I bought the Live and Heavy. So this is going to be some 80s metal and 70s metal, maybe even. It looks like it's dated 1980. So there'll be some 70s metal live, which is awesome. And I pretty much buy these on the cover alone. Like, it doesn't even have any bands listed on the front. But I usually just buy them because the metal compilations are almost always great. They usually pick the best songs, so it's kind of like a greatest hits. But sometimes the mixes of bands are so weird. So this one's got, I don't know if you can see or not, but Deep Purple, no brainer, Nazareth, Motorhead, Def Leppard, Rainbow. So that's pretty straightforward. Status Quo they throw in there, which I've seen that from time to time, but that's a rock band. Whitesnake, UFO, Gillan, yeah, so that's Ian Gillan, obviously, on his own. So I think he only had 1 or 2 albums on his own. So that's kind of cool that that's not on there. And he sang for Sabbath once or twice, and then Sabbath's on there too. So, but some of these are like late 70s songs, and some of these are early 70s songs. So that's kind of I don't know. It's a relatively straightforward mix, but there's a couple weird ones in there. All tracks recorded live on stage. Well, I would hope so, because it's live and heavy. So anyways, these were from the Sports Card Expo. I always end up leaving there with, these days, with more vinyl than I do cards, so that's pretty good. Next up, Revolver Records. Revolver Records was massive. That's probably, outside of like going to an HMV or a Sunrise, that's like the biggest used record store I've ever been to. And it was sprawling, and I think it was organized, but every time I thought it was organized, then I would find another row that kind of had some of the bands I'd already seen in other rows. And every single end of a row seemed to have like new releases in it, but then I would hit another batch of new releases and another batch of new releases. So I was getting kind of confused, and I was getting a little bit overwhelmed, but the selection was unparalleled. The one album I asked for, if they had it, they didn't have, but I had never thought to ask for that album anywhere else. I was looking for a Nitty Gritty Dirt Band album that had Fishing in the Dark on it, which I think sold millions of copies, but I don't think they've ever re-released it, so it's probably in everybody's personal collections. And I never thought to ask anywhere else before, so I'm not saying that their selection was bad on that one. That's just the one I asked for and they didn't have. But they seem to have bloody everything else on earth. And I didn't even get to look at it all. And then there was a second room, and I got to do a little bit of the second room, and it had video games and t-shirts and stuff in there. But yeah, I could have spent, like, I was in there maybe an hour and a half, and I could have spent 2 more hours and not went through everything that I wanted to go through. Guy working behind the counter was super nice. He was playing some, was it Willie Dunn? Canadian guy. And it was unique for the vibe of the place, but also interesting. Kind of caught my attention and held my attention the whole time I was there. They had my stuff stored away, but they had it ready for me in seconds. I ended up buying 3 more albums. I can't remember. One of them I checked when I got home because I was really excited to get the free CD that was in the album, but the sticker wasn't on the front that said there was a free CD like there was online. So I opened it up quick, and there was no free CD in there. So I messaged them, not to complain, but just to let them know they might want to pull that picture down and swap it out for the one without the free CD sticker. And they actually discounted me on that album, which I did not ask for. So that was amazing customer service. The other cool thing was my phone's internet was trash there. I think because we're obviously in Canada and we were visiting in the States, and I suck at gadgets. And he had no problem. He was watching a race on his gadget while he was working, but he had no problem stopping that to search their inventory for me and to look up some things like which I wanted to know which album in a discography a certain album that they had was, and he had no problem pulling that up and looking it up for me. Awesome. Their hours are great. Store was clean. Wasn't busy. Not that that's a good thing, but it wasn't busy, so like there was room and space to do your thing. So yeah, cool store. And that was just one of the 3 I've been to. So their website worked pretty well, better than a lot of indie record shop stores do online. The search function was pretty straightforward. The cart was easy, all that kind of stuff. So I barely remember what I got here, so these should be kind of surprises. First up, okay, so the first one is the Alkaline Trio one. Oh, I dropped it. Oh yeah, my wife stole a sticker from me. Oh shit, yeah, they were there. So that's Revolver Records. I was at the one in Williamsville. I don't know New York too well, but we were at the Avett Brothers concert in Lewiston, and I think this was about a half an hour south of that. So anyways, Revolver Records. So this is the one that I guess you're going to see if their prices are good or not. I thought their prices were pretty good. So this is the one that online there was a sticker up here that said there was a free CD, which was sick because then I could upload it into my iTunes, but I can't now, but they gave me a discount. So anyways, Alkaline Trio. My shame is true. I own a lot of Alkaline Trio, but I did not own this one. And they sound great on vinyl. If you don't know Alkaline Trio, they're kind of like it's like a pop punk. I'm not a punk guy at all, but they alternate between 2 singers, which keeps it kind of fresh. I love that when a band has more than 1 singer. Yeah, so when I get in the urge for punkish type stuff, then I usually default to Alkaline Trio. Usually when I listen to it and people hear me listen to it, they're like, "You listen to this stuff?" I do. What do we got next? Oh, cool. So this, I usually see this for like $100 online. So I paid what, $17 US, and I went and picked it up, so I didn't even pay shipping. So Middle Brother is, I don't know what all the guys are from, but I think one guy's from like Dawes, one guy's from Delta Spirit, and then John McCauley's the singer, guitar player for Deer Tick. Love Deer Tick. They got together and did one album called Middle Brother, and that album is awesome. And I've always wanted more Middle Brother, but they don't get back together and do their little super groupie thing. And then I found this floating out there. And it's got 5 songs on it. So, like, I know Funny Word is a Deer Tick song, so I don't expect it to sound exactly the same, but we'll see. Should be interesting. But yeah, so I was stoked to find out that this existed, because I don't think any of these songs are on the Middle Brother album. I guess I probably should have looked that up. But yeah, Deer Tick, awesome. With folk rock, kind of amazing live show, tons of energy. One of those bands where everything just rocks more live. So I'm super excited to listen to that. And speaking of, all this stuff is sealed too, by the way. Like, I bought all this stuff new, in case you're wondering about the prices. Deer Tick mayonnaise. Carrie loves Deer Tick. I love Deer Tick. We've seen them, I think, 3 times live or 4 times live. Always a good show. One show was a little shorter than we would have liked. This corner's dented, but that's no biggie. And this has a limited edition, like 7-inch vinyl. And bonus tee. Digital download card included. So it looks like I got a whole bunch of stuff with this. And we don't own this. So these will be all new songs to us unless we've heard them live. But yeah, Deer Tick, awesome band. Lead singer dealt with some addiction issues and was a little unpredictable when you would go and see him live, but still always managed to pull off a wild show. And I think he married Vanessa Carlton, who had a few huge hits, and she sings backup on a song here and there. So anyways, that should be good. What's next? Oh, okay. So I stepped up on this one. I'm going to pay for it. I know it. The Sword, used Future. So red slushy colored vinyl. That should be cool to check out. Sealed, so I haven't taken a peek yet. So The Sword, I friggin' love their first two albums. And I haven't heard their third album. But the story with The Sword is that their first three albums are amazing, and then their fourth, fifth, and sixth albums are terrible. That's what you read online. I've not listened to 3, 4, 5, or 6, but 1 and 2 are two of my favorite albums of all time. So this is, I think, the sixth album. I think this is the sixth album, and then they broke up. And I don't think they broke up because of the heat of their albums changing direction. That seems to be the big complaint, is that they changed their musical stylings and stuff, and it wasn't such a driving, doomy, stoner beat anymore. So I don't know. I don't want to believe what everybody else said. So I stepped up and I paid the money to own this. And invariably, as long as it's somewhat like their first couple albums, it will sound incredible on a record player. So we'll see. And the last one. What the hell is this? Oh, yeah, okay. So this is me just wasting money the first time around. So this is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And I guess this one is affectionately referred to as Rat's Nest. I mean, Infest the Rat's Nest, but I think everybody calls it Rat's Nest. So I don't know how rare or anything this is. I got the USA Store Edition black and red vinyl, and it includes a poster. I couldn't tell you how rare that is compared to the other releases, but this band's pretty popular now, so I would assume that they printed a lot of these. But the price point was pretty good. And it doesn't have a ton of songs on it. But let me tell you about how I came to this. Let's see this one. So I heard lots of rumblings about King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and that they could play all different kinds of genres of music, which I love. Bands like Ween or Deer Tick, who are a wicked Nirvana cover band of all things. I heard these guys could do a ton of different styles of music. I assumed that it wasn't going to be heavy stuff. I assumed it was going to be more like maybe Brian Jonestown Massacre or something. But then I heard rumors after I poked around a little bit on YouTube that they did heavy stuff too. So one time I was in Zap Records in Coburg, and I just said, suggest to me one of their albums that you think I'd really enjoy that has some heavier stuff on it. I assumed each album had all different kinds of genres on it. So he suggested one to me. He said, you like colored vinyl, so here's a colored vinyl. It's not super expensive, so if you don't like it, at least you didn't get hosed financially. So I bought it. It was like orange balloon something or other. I can't even remember. Anyways, it was not all different kinds of genres. It was one like long, psychedelic, twangy, annoying sounds in the background album with a few good songs on it. They're clearly talented musicians, but it was not my thing. I'm not a psych guy. So that was disappointing, and there was nothing even remotely close to heavy on it. So then I just kind of like sloughed it off or whatever. It was a blind buy. That happens sometimes. Then on a Facebook page called Weedian, they were talking about this album and how this album is one of like the greatest metal bands. This is them talking. This is one of the greatest metal albums by a not metal band of all time, and that it fits right in the stoner doom genre that I love. And they couldn't say enough good things about it, and it was post after post after post of this stuff. And that's a strictly like doom stoner metal Facebook group. So I thought, all right, well, I'll take one more chance with King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard, and I'll buy it, and I'll see for myself just how good I think it'll be. And they are amazing musicians, so I'm thinking that this is like a great vinyl purchase. So anyways, Revolver Records, cool store, cool prices, cool people working there. And you did the right thing from a customer service perspective, even though I did not expect that. It was much appreciated. So that's it for those. And then I got a Father's Day gift from my daughter. This is when you know your kids know what you like. Peace sells, but who's buying? So the girls at Christmas, they split on the new Megadeth album for me, which is cool because I haven't heard any of their last few albums. So I listened to their new one, and I enjoyed it a lot, and we listened to it a bunch when I first got it. So when Father's Day came along, my daughter thought she might as well stick with what works and get me another Megadeth album. And I would say, if this is not my favorite Megadeth album, it's definitely my top 2. Rust in Peace and this one, go back and forth all day on that. You can argue positives and negatives. But yeah, so that's very cool. And we actually busted it open tonight, and we listened to it while we were working on puzzles. And it sounds fantastic on vinyl. Very bassy. Very 80s thrash metal. I just smiled the whole time because I think, Metallica was killing it by the time this came out. And I just wonder when the Metallica guys finally got to hear this, if they were like, yeah, that's pretty good, actually. I mean, it was fine to go their separate ways. They were gonna make their money no matter what. But I just feel like this went a completely different direction than Metallica did. It's a little grittier, a little grimier, a little thrashier, in my opinion. They were kind of starting to clean up their act by then. But yeah, I feel like there must have been a part of them that felt really good for him for putting together such a killer album. But yeah, Peace sells, but who's buying? Awesome album. So anyways, thanks for listening. Revolver Records, keep up the good work, and see you next time I buy a bunch of crap. Bye.